Shiru is a young boy who lost his whole family in an accident. Luckily he was saved from beneath the scrap and debris by Kiritsugu, a mage looking for the Holy Grail to save the world. Kiritsugu quickly became attached to the young boy and decided to become his adoptive father and mentor. One day they were heading out on a mission when Kiritsugu explained to Shiru about the Sakatsuki family. This family follows a religion where children under the age of 6 are considered closer to God, making them possess wish-granting powers. When the kids turned 6 they seemed to mysteriously appear in the world. This makes it look like the child wasn't born in the family. It's always a child they've adopted or from a relative, which Kiritsugu believes to be a ruse to hide the real truth of their belief in the child's religion. From this religion Kiritsugu believes that the family may be hiding the child of God that he is looking for to make his wish come true to save humanity. He suddenly stops the car in a form of gas. As he looks over the underlying city being consumed by a dangerous-looking dark shadow, it then forms a mini tornado and expands as it goes. Kiritsugu doesn't know what's happening and tells Shiru to get back in the car so they can leave quickly. Shiru worries that the whole city will be destroyed, but Kiritsugu only hopes that it stays that way. A city getting destroyed is better than a whole country getting destroyed. As they discuss what to do, a light suddenly appears in the middle of the darkness and swallows it right before their eyes. After driving further into the city in traffic, Shiru gets impatient and gets out of the car to hurry to where the destruction happened. He runs through the forest to find and stand in front of a large hole made in the middle of the city. A ball falls to the ground, and he immediately looks to see. He sees a house with a girl sitting outside a few meters away from him. Shiru and the girl stare at each other for a second before the house gives in and collapses. Shiru quickly runs and saves the girl. Just as the roof of the house hits the ground, he wonders if the girl is the one who caused the shadow to appear and the destruction. After he puts her to sleep in the car, Kiritsugu reads from a book that the girl is the child of God Myo, who was raised in isolation inside the Sakatsuki household. He tells Shiru that the barrier used to keep bound Myo inside, away from people and conceal her powers, finally broke, forcing Miyu to hear people's wishes all at once, resulting in the chaos that occurred at the beginning. Kiritsugu intends to sacrifice this girl to save humanity. Shiru introduces himself to Miyu and welcomes her to his little family. With Kiritsugu, he tells her about their history, dynamics and ideals of saving humanity. Shiru visits Kiritsugu in his room to ask if they can celebrate Myo's 6th birthday, but his father isn't very happy about this. He still wants to sacrifice her as he believes that's the only thing Myo is good for. He has no intentions of showing familiarity to her in any way that's fatherly. He only wants to study her for his own ideals before she loses her powers when she becomes older and more human. Shiru gets out of the room feeling disappointed. He knows that he should treat me as coldly as his father, but she makes it hard by constantly getting closer to him. However, Kiritsugu's research on how to use her powers to save humanity comes to an end. His obsession made him work too hard and he fell ill, to the point where he passed away 5 years later. Shiru is all grown up and working hard at school. He still recounts the day the shadow suddenly appeared and killed people, but he still tries to hide it a little when he mentions it to his friends Julian and Sakura. When he gets back home from school, he's greeted by me at the door and gives her a book. He cannot reveal her to the public, so he tries to teach her at home. He goes outside to train, but he ends up conflicted. He doesn't know what he's supposed to do to progress the work of his father of saving humanity. He gives Miyu some cute pajamas, making her more fond of him than she already was. He goes back to training and wonders whether he's doing as well as his father, getting closer to their goal. He worries that he might hesitate too much. After training, he finds Myo sitting outside reading a book on stars and constellations. She asks him about wishing on a star and he wonders if she still has her powers to grant wishes because he hasn't seen it in years. He reveals to him her wish of becoming true siblings, making him happy. The next day he brings her more books on simple everyday stuff and city laws so that she can prepare for. When he takes her outside, she gets excited to hear that and promises to study quickly so that she can visit the oceans and feel the ocean breeze while going to school. Shiru stops at an elementary school to see if Miyu could make any friends if she went there. He smiles to himself when he thinks about Miyu making friends at school with kids her age. Soon the day to take Myo outside comes and they enjoy their walk and talking and sightseeing. Myo is loving it, but she wants to go to see the ocean. Shiru tells her to save that for later as he takes her on a different path down the place where the shadow appeared. Where they found her there he shows her the graves of her family but she doesn't remember anything from before they found her but she is happy that they found her. Shiro decided to tell her that his intention alongside Kiritsugu was not to save her for her sake but for the sake of using her powers to reach their goal. Before he can finish explaining himself, Julian, his friend, appears from behind with a little girl whom Shiro saw at the elementary school. He starts vetting that Mio is the child they've been looking for. Shiro quickly gets into a defensive position, telling Miyu to run away. He pulls out his power blade, which Julian recognizes as a strengthening magecraft that he thinks isn't even strong enough to kill him. He proves to be stronger than Shiro by using spatial displacement magic on him, causing him to fall through the ground and fall from the sky in a split second. Julian walks over to Mio and takes her, stating that his ritual will not fail this time around. Shiro realizes that Julian might have had something to do with the dark shadow from the day he met Mio, and Julian confirms it. He immediately gets up and sprints towards Julian, but multiple swords fall from the sky and stab him. A woman appears to assist Julian and they take Mio away, leaving a helpless Shiro behind. As he blacks out, he wakes up later bandaged with a priest sitting next to him. The priest welcomes him but Shiro tells him that he needs to go. As he tries to walk away, the priest stops him by mentioning that he doesn't even know where to go to look for Mio. Shiro looks back and asks if the priest is also part of the whole thing, but the priest tells him that he's only a bystander observing without interference. He shifts the focus to the identity of the people who have taken Miyu and what their goal is. He tells him that it's a group called Ainsworth and their goal is to do everything in their power regardless of method or consequence to save humanity, which shocks Shiro. The priest reveals how Ainsworth has been looking for the Holy Grail, but his wish can only be completed after a ritual Holy Grail war. It's a literal battle royal where humans summon legendary heroes from the past using some cards. The winner of such a war will have the right to make a wish, but all these rituals ended in failure and the fourth war was the one that Shiro saw. The end results of every one of the Ainsworth died except for Julian, who is now back to performing another ritual using Mio as the Holy Grail. Shiro refuses to believe that all that destruction was caused for the greater good of humanity, that war destroyed people's lives instead of saving humanity. The priest lets him know that there is nothing he can do about it because no matter what, humanity will eventually perish, and his justice sense will come crashing down. After leaving the church, Shiro goes back to the scene of the last ritual to look for Julian to talk to him about it. He cries out to Julian to come out and give him back his sister because he no longer supports the idea to save humanity. He now only wants to just live a normal life with his sister, but that was to no avail as he had to continue to live his life without Miyu. And Julian never went back to school. She revisited the site many times to try and break the barrier to meet Julian again, but nothing happened. After dinner with Sakura, she tells him that she won't ever see him again, even though she wished she could see him more. He wonders why, because they live close to each other. She reveals that she won't do that because the Fifth Holy Grail War has begun and her family is part of it. While Shiro is shocked at first, he quickly comes down and realizes that he'll just lose like he always does. Sakura shows him her servant cards of heroic spirits which they use to offset the rituals and participate in the war. She hands it to him so that he can try to save Mio, but also encourages him to run ways with her. All of a sudden she gets pierced through the right shoulder by her own brother. He appears from the shadows and starts acting very loony. She requests his actions of stabbing his own sister, but he doesn't care. He's the rightful successor of their family, so he can do these crazy things. As he throws his second attack, Shiro uses his magecraft to block the attack and sends the lunatic into hysterics. The brother pulls out a card, merges with it and turns into a ghoul. Shiro takes Sakura and they run to the back where the brother follows them. Shiro, injured, tells Sakura to run away, but she refuses. She pulls out her own card to protect the man she loves and defeat her brother, which only excites him. Sakura is sure that her card will guarantee her a win, but when she tries to merge with it, nothing happens. The brother explains that Julie didn't trust her enough to give her a real card, leaving her defenseless. Her brother instantly kills her and laughs about it, infuriating Shiro, who also gets a kick in the stomach. After getting tortured, Shiro gets a new will to get up and fight. He uses the card Sakura gave him to merge with and become a new man. He cuts Sakura's brother's tentacles, making him scream in agony while questioning how the fake card even worked, quickly explaining it didn't. That's not a legendary hero from the past, that's Shiro from the future, the guardian of humanity. He charges him and punches him in the face, sending him flying outside. The brother transforms into an even larger beast and attacks Shiro. Shiro uses all his tricks to dodge and counter the attacks, and ultimately kills him with this Shiro finally realizes there's a way to save Myo. He needs to defeat every participant of the Holy Grail War and take their cards away. Shiro starts his card hunt and is soon met with the other 6 enemies whom he defeats with minimal effort. As the last enemy falls to his death, the priest appears to let him know that he has won the war and has the right to a wish. The priest tells him where Myo is and he immediately makes his way to mountains out there. He meets Julian, who thinks that Shiro only cares about a bond with his sister than the survival of humanity, which is evil in his eyes. But Shiro pities him for being so lonely all these years that he would consider that evil and understands where he's coming from. But he doesn't intend to change what he wants for anyone, because just like Myo's parents, he only wishes for her health, well-being and happiness. He walks away from Julian and goes deeper into the cave to where Myo is lying. She wakes up and asks why he came there when he confessed to wanting to use her as a tool. He tells her that he never finished what he wanted to say, and that is because he's her brother. He wants to protect her. He brings out the cards and wishes upon her. He wishes her to go to another world where she would find a good, happy and peaceful life. After the wish takes effect, he descends from the platform and meets with Angelica, Julian's sister. He asks her to wait a little, so that you can finish her thing, but she refuses because his feelings are worth selfless. When humanity is at stake, she immediately attacks him, and after trying to talk it out, he also uses his heroic spirit imitation and tries to take her on. He doesn't successfully take her down. In fact, she beats him up, so he resorts to using his spell by creating an alternative dimension and switching places with objects and teleporting. Their fight begins, and with the last life left in him, Shiro vows to dedicate it to fight for what he believes in. Shiro is wiped out and is utterly defeated in his mind. Shiro tells his father that though he failed to be a hero who could save others for him, he won because could pride himself as a brother who was able to protect his sister. Meanwhile, Myo wakes